All right. I am not entirely sure what the heck happened with my sound, but we're gonna do this as part two. And for those listening in the archives, be glad that you did not see this happen because it's not, really professional and whatnot. Anyway, Mac, are you hearing me?
I am hearing you.
Okay, not entirely sure what the heck happened there. I was talking about Gail Kim, possible re-signee with the WWE in 2017.
Hmm.
Um, she left the WWE not in good taste when she eliminated herself from battle royal that was going on. Nobody even knew until like minutes later that she wasn't even in the match. She went back to TNA. The Knockouts division was great. It hasn't been the same like it used to be when there was Kong, Kim, the Beautiful People, Sarita. What do you think about Gail Kim coming back?
And let's remember, she also declared that she would never ever return to the company. So, um,
True that.
as far as the people on the list, which I now have, I would see her as the least likely to return. But hey, man, money talks for a lot of people. So,
Yeah, especially when it comes to WWE. Vince will say that he'll never do business with somebody, and then lo and behold, here comes a surprise. Boom.
yep.
So, we her husband Robert Irvine has Kitchen Impossible, maybe WWE Impossible for Gail Kim. She might return. Number 12 on the list, lethal, but if you've been following news, he re-upped with ROH for years. So he is not, and I'm kind of bummed about this because Jay Lethal is such an amazing wrestler, talent, that he should be on a bigger stage than ROH. But he is apparently getting paid well enough, and the schedule and all of that comes with ROH is good enough for that. He does not need to dip his foot in the WWE waters. What are your views on Lethal re-signing with ROH?
I think certainly a case of someone being totally comfortable where they are. The money is not the most important thing for them, and he loves the fact that he just gets a chance to wrestle and wrestle the way he wants. And we all know that WWE can, someone can sign a WWE and you know their character gets totally switched around. The way they work gets totally switched around. So I think Jay Lethal re-upping with ROH is just a sign that, hey man, I like what I'm doing. I like how I'm able to do it. I don't have any restrictions, or I don't have the strings that would be attached to me. Um, and he's happy. And he likes being able to travel the world, travel the country. On his own and at his own pace, and not live the WWE life. So that's what I think that is. It's all about him, just being truly content with the wrestler he is, with the job he has, and not chasing the money.
All right, I know you're following along with the list. I'm going to skip number 11 because there's another talking point I want to get to after we go through this list, and it
Okay.
deals with number 11. So 10 and together, they are the Hardy Boys. Now, I been the only TNA sympathizer on this crew. I'm the only one who consistently watches their product. I've been raving about the broken Matt Hardy stuff. TNA is that is because their contracts are coming up, and Matt Hardy is looking for more control. We saw recently they had an entire show from in Cameron, North Carolina, and even have a TNA New Year's episode coming up, I think tomorrow, with the Hardys leading that as well. It's like Matt Hardy is very comfortable in TNA. From what I've read, Jeff Hardy would like to have Swan Song in the WWE. So, or if the WWE is willing to take just one, or do they want both? Because at one point, Jeff Hardy was the bigger Hardy Boy, but as of this year, his older brothers kind of eclipsed him.
And like,
what do you want to see with the Hardys?
Well, not only was Jeff, the bigger of the two, he was also one of the the biggest stars in the world. You know what I'm saying? People love Jeff Hardy. He put on great matches. I'm kind of conflicted on this one because I am like a huge fan of the Hardy Boys. I've been a fan of Matt Hardy, Matt Hardy version 1, Matt Hardy version, every single version of Matt Hardy I've been a fan of. I haven't taken, a lot of time with this broken Matt Hardy. I've seen a little bit of it, but, it's just I don't watch TNA now. So I would like to see them on the bigger stage, but then again, I don't want them, turned into also-rans really quick. And that's my fear about a few of the guys on the list that, but I just don't know what WWE would do with them in 2017. Them ushering the new era this year. So I would love to see the Hardys, like I said, back in in WWE, because I think both of them would thrive, on the main event scene. But I also don't want WWE to ruin that like they have the potential.
We saw what happened when the Dudley Boyz came back. You had who was TNA's biggest star, and then he left, and we were hoping that we would see a Bully Ray character, but we ended up seeing a nostalgic act between the Dudleys, Bully Ray, and Devon. So I'm hoping that if they do come back as a duo, that we don't get, like you were saying, and we instead see the Hardys treated with more prestige and not just, okay, we're going to throw you into the tag team division and just do what you guys were doing back in 2001, 2002.
Right, because I was really disappointed with how the Dudleys ended up in WWE, and the fact that, the way they left was, they were taken out by the club, never to be heard from again. And hey, man, when Bully Ray was, running things on TNA, both as a face, but more so as a heel, I thought that was some of the best work in professional wrestling at the time, because he was so believable. He was so badass. And I mean, it was just, and when he would just grab that mic and just, do you know who I am? And it was just like, it worked. And it really, really worked. And I was just kind of sad to see them come back as, oh, we're the Dudley Boys, nostalgia, get the tables, Well, and that was it, I'm kind of, I wish they would have had more of a run to end it out, but they didn't. What can you do?
All right, what about Okada? He's also on this list. WWE fans may have seen him in their. He has said that, so I kind of think that based on what he said, we're not going to see him because he enjoys the fact that he can do his New Japan stuff, fly over, do some shows in the States, but has the freedom where he can go back home to Japan and all of that. But he is a huge talent. Got Nakamura in NXT. You have Hideo Itami when he's not injured. Be the trifecta of the New Japan, who can bring in that, be that face of the Japanese audience. What do you think about Okada?
I'll be honest, I haven't seen much of his work, but I've been doing some reading up on him for today's show. And from what I understand, he came over to do some shows recently, and he didn't really like how the lack of freedom that he had. And he prefers New Japan because working in New Japan allows him to come over, like you said, come over to the States, do some shows, get paid for it, be himself, but he's not, locked in to wrestling in America. Because we both know, wrestling, WWE and New Japan, when it comes to the styles, they're totally different. And he's just more accustomed to the style over there. And it's because it's less rigid and less restrictive to him. That's what I was reading today. We'll see. Like I said earlier, money changes everything. If he's as big a star as he is in New Japan, WWE can see that, and we know that they're trying to expand into Japan and China, signing arguably the biggest star in New Japan would certainly be a great get for them.
All right. The Young Bucks, the tag team division is getting a little bit more focused. The Young Bucks also fit into the cruiserweight division. Harris is not really fond of the Young Bucks, their antics in the ring. I feel views on the Young Bucks is that they would lose their appeal brought into the WWE, because I don't think they would things that they do now. So it's like the generation me guys that we a couple of years ago.
Hey, the Young Bucks, when it comes to tag teams, now like I said, I haven't watched a lot of New Japan. I love the Young Bucks. I love them when they were in TNA as Generation Me. They're super charismatic, and they're little guys, but they are insanely charismatic. I love, their persona on Twitter. I love that, they can be DBs, but enjoy it. And they're like, hey, there's nothing you can do because we're the best tag team in the world. And you can't tell us otherwise. So I love the Young Bucks. I love, the super kick parties. I love the Young Bucks. But I do think that if they were to come to WWE, they might be seen as, oh, these guys are so tiny they can't do anything. They're a great tag team. They were a great tag team in TNA. I would love to see them come to the E, but I also think that the reason why they would lose their appeal would more so be because they would end up being sanitized, by the WWE and its rigidity. Is that a word? Like, for rigidity, I think that's a word. I'm pretty sure rigidity is a word.
Yep, you're good. All right. this guy, I just want a yes or no for this guy because he's been like the biggest lobbyer for his return to the WWE. So just to kind of like speed things up with this guy, even though he would be a nice get, especially for the nostalgia. Kurt Angle, yes or no?
No, and I think only basically because he's 47 years old. We know WWE is not going to push a 47-year-old guy as champion, and I also think that they just don't trust Kurt Angle, with his past. So, no.
I'm gonna. Man, this is kind of tough because there's things that he can do, especially with like American Alpha. I'm gonna go with no. No. What about Ethan Carter III, formerly known as former NXT? What the heck? His NXT name. It was such a job with him, and TNA has done such a great. I tend to forget a WWE guy at first.
It's right. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I cannot remember his name. Oh my goodness! It was right on the tip of my. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Gosh.
But who cares? Man, he's Ethan Carter III right now.
Yeah.
And I think it was Bateman, but
yeah. It was not Jason, but it was Derek Bateman.
Derek Bateman. Ethan Carter. Courtney?
So, yeah. I think, I think if he would because his work in TNA, I had no idea that he was so good on the mic and that he was so charismatic. I think that if he were to come to the WWE, he should immediately be, put at the main event. That's just how good his work in TNA has been to me. So I think, I wouldn't want to see him come to WWE if he was like stuck in the mid card, but man, is he good? I mean, he's chiseled, he's charismatic, man. So yeah, I like to see him in WWE.
I've been a big Ethan Carter fan. He's even a fan of HTR. I mean, he does follow us on Twitter. So I'm gonna say that, yes, I want to see Ethan Carter III. I'm assuming they will change his name. They don't want any, relationship to Dixie Carter. But I would like to see him back in the WWE. Hopefully they do right by him the second time around. We're going to go to Adam Cole.
Okay.
But Adam Cole, who his name has been floating about, and the WWE has expressed interest in him. ROH watcher, you should know about Adam Cole if you've been a watcher of PWG or New Japan.
He's a current champ, right?
So what about Adam Cole, baby?
From what I've seen of him, like just in like the past like 2 or 3 months, just because I've been trying to just pay more attention to ROH, and he's been doing some really good work, and he's currently the champ in ROH, right?
I believe so. I watched first time in like 2-3 months, so I think he is. But he would definitely be a great get for the WWE. Physically, he is with the type of body Vince likes. His in-ring work is good. His mic work is good. And then we have Ricochet, who, if you watch Lucha Underground, he is wrestling as Prince Puma.
Mm-hmm.
I did skip somebody, but I'll come to him after Ricochet. So what do you think about Ricochet, aka Prince Puma?
Well, it was rumored that he had a deal with WWE maybe late last year, wasn't it? I'll be honest. The only thing, because I don't get Lucha Underground up here in the great state of Michigan, the only thing that I've seen was his match with Will Osprey, where it looked like it was the one where Vader got pissed off and said, "Oh, they're just monkeys." There's no storytelling. I actually, thought that was one of the best matches I've ever seen, just for that one, because I like cruiserweights. I like the high flying, fast little guys all around the ring. That's the type of wrestling that I first loved back when I loved WCW. I like that kind of stuff, man. So I don't really, we don't really know what WWE is doing with the cruiserweights. It seems like none of the cruiserweights, other than the Brian Kendrick, have any type of story. Well, now I could say Neville does, but
Neville, dude, Neville.
Yeah, it depends on where the cruiserweight division go. And that's the only reason. That's the only kind of thing that gives me kind of a pause on it, just because we know they're not gonna be guys that WWE's featured, features. Because for speaking of Neville, Neville's like one of the biggest stars on the indie scene when he signed with WWE, and he was putting in some good matches. Then he got hurt, and since he's come back from his injury, it was just like, oh man, I forgot. Hey, Neville's here. Until 2 weeks ago, where he had his heel turn. But it's just, I wouldn't mind seeing those guys, but you just don't know where WWE is in terms of how they look at the cruiserweight. So that's the only thing that would give me pause as to seeing those two guys in WWE.
Darius feels that Puma is the biggest get. That's probably why they put Puma at number 1 on this list. I'm a fan of the Ricochet character. Doesn't really, but his in-ring work is fantastic. I've been watching years now. I would like to see him. Do I need to see him stick solely to the cruiserweight division? No. See him there, and for him to show off what he can do, I'm all for that. Now, the guy that I did skip, you mentioned him, that is Will Osprey. He, another high-flying, crazy athletic. I've been nominating him for a couple things in the WWE, not the WWE, but in our Ropies. I was about to say the WWE Slammies, but they didn't even do that this year. But Will Osprey.
He's a tiny guy, too.
Yeah. He is. So he fits right there in the cruiserweight division. Yeah. And you said your piece on loving the cruiserweights. What do you think about Osprey?
Like I said, he does really good work. He's a super high flyer. But same thing with Ricochet. I just don't know. You just don't know the direction that they're gonna go with the cruiserweights. So you would hate to see a talent like that just wasted, because he's very talented. And it's a reason why he's number 3 on the list. But I would just hate to see him, sign WWE. WWE makes a a huge deal about it, and then 2 months after he signed, you don't hear anything from him, and that's my fear. And I guess that'll lead into where you want to go next with the guy that we skipped on the list.
Right. So now we skipped Kenny Omega, who has been staying over in Japan for years. I remember the first time I saw Kenny Omega, he was doing an Hadouken in the ring, and I was just like, oh my God, I love this guy. Which guy's ever done a freaking Hadouken in the middle of a wrestling match? And followed his career, not with a fine-tooth comb and all of that, but him, and he's on this list. I'm not entirely sure that he would come over, especially based on what he did. I would like to see him in the WWE, especially since a lot of his friends are in the WWE. I mean, he is a Bullet Club member.
Yep.
Kenny Omega.
Well, I would like to see him because he's very, very entertaining. I first kind of caught wind of Kenny Omega like at the beginning of the year, because he and Austin Creed had some back and forths over Twitter, and then the Young Bucks got involved, and other members of New Day got involved. I'm like, man, what if this were to happen? Because they were going back and forth about who was the greatest tag team in the world, and of course, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are like, I didn't know they had a 6-man or a 3-man tag team championship in New Japan, but they do, and those 3 guys are the champions. So, and he's from what I've seen, he's super charismatic. He kind of reminds me of. Now I could say Brian Pillman, but that's only because of the hair. But he's
right.
He's kind of charismatic in the ring, kind of like who can I I don't know. But he's one of the guys that, like, when he's in the ring, because of his look, because of his charisma, you want to watch him. So, hey, I would like to see him come over to WWE. Just like you said, a lot of his friends were there. We could, finally get a real Bullet Club in WWE, other than, just,
the
Anderson
club.
and yes.
All right. Well, let me read you a part of this interview he did. It's the show with Spandex. He was talking about the WWE signing new talent. He says, it seems as though we're headed towards a monopoly. Honestly, WWE is hiring people just to hire them. Happy for whoever is happy to collect a paycheck from them. A lot of my good friends are now receiving work and receiving money. But sadly, a lot of those people are just to ride the pine. You can't put all those guys on TV. These mom and pop indie superstars getting TV time, and people all over the world are able to see the art of what they do. And in a lot of cases, they're enjoying it, which is fantastic about that. But as everyone gets picked up, and the promotions have to shut down and close their doors because of WWE scooping everyone up, everyone's going to lose an option. And that guy you saw for that one tournament, you're not going to see him anymore. You can't put him on TV. There's only so much time. So eventually people are going to run out of options. He said some things that I agree with, things that I disagree with. I'm gonna run in, and then I'll let you have your say. He is right. The WWE cannot put all of these guys on TV. With all of the time that the WWE has throughout the week, we have 3 hours of Raw, we have 2 hours of SmackDown, we have 205 Live, there's Talking Smack, there's the Raw after show thingy, there's still, I think, airing in some countries. of hours of WWE TV, but they can't put all of these guys on TV and adequately that fans are going to be able to fully invest in some of these guys. I mean, even now you see, if you only watch Raw, you see Alicia Fox is with Cedric Alexander, but they talked about them like 3 weeks ago, and now you have to tune into 205 Live to see a continuation of Alicia Fox with Cedric Alexander and Noam Dar. Mm-hmm. So I get what he's saying, that you can't put all these guys on TV, and he's happy for whoever goes over there to collect their money, because I'm like him, hey, get paid, I don't care. People talk about Kim Kardashian, for example, as a gold digger back in the day. I'm like, she's making her money.
Right.
I don't care what the heck she's doing. She ain't hurt nobody. He says, you know, these mom and pop indie companies have to close down their doors. Well, here's the thing. The WWE is not necessarily everybody.
Right.
You know, they grab some guys, they do a tournament, and they make those guys bigger names.
Yep. And
the ones that they don't grab, their local indie promotions or whatever, and it sucks that the promoter has to up that pay of that. But now you're gonna have more people coming to your show because they just saw that guy in the Cruiserweight Classic last month, and now they're in their hometown. That's necessarily bad for the promoters of these smaller indies when the WWE one or two of their guys or girls and puts them on TV for a couple weeks. What do you think?
That's true. So when I read, because I read you know, some of the interview as well, and I look at when he said what I was the person who I thought of when I saw his comments was Apollo Crews. There was such fanfare when the WWE signed him. I mean, huge fanfare. Talk about how he's one of the biggest stars in the world, you know, and he basically, you forgot he was there. I mean, and when he came in, he you know, was in NXT, and he wasn't in NXT long. They brought him up really fast. But, you know, once they brought him up, you know, he had a brief little run with The Miz, which I thought was actually pretty good. And then after his little run-in with The Miz, they had a pay-per-view match, and he disappeared for months, you know, and until when he got drafted to SmackDown, I was like, oh, snap. Apollo Crews is going to SmackDown. Maybe he could shine. And, you know, he hasn't really. And it's because, you know, WWE forces these guys to change characters, and it seems like they don't really do much. Man, it's like, how can I describe it? They don't allow these guys to kind of be themselves because, and you know, we've heard, you know, stories, and actually, you know, in the little E60 the E60 piece on NXT, we saw how WWE basically controls, you know, their entire character, you know, as soon as they sign them. So it's kind of you get like a sanitized version of your favorite indie wrestler, and it's kind of, you know, yeah, they ride the pine. And because when it all comes down to it, the new guys, you know, other than a select few, like you see Finn Balor and, you know, AJ Styles, but the new guys aren't going to get the huge pushes like guys who've been there and, I guess, quote unquote, paid their dues. So, you know, I kind of see what he was saying. Not many, but also in the piece I read on the Inquisitor did also mention how WWE does, you know, have working relationships with smaller promotions. Like they mentioned their partnership with MLW and what's the other one? Evolve, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's his opinion, and he's a lot more vested in, and he knows a lot more than you and I do. So I mean, hey, I can see his point, because we've seen those guys over like the past 2 years, come get signed, all this fanfare and all this hoopla, and then they just, they gone.
Well, we're gonna transition from that. Spend the last few minutes talking about the current week WWE. I gotta ask you, what the hell's going on with Raw? Uh, why is it that whenever the WWE has this brand split stuff, this years ago when we had the SmackDown 6 with Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, the guy who shall not be named, and guys, SmackDown was treated as the stepchild, but that is the show that everybody enjoyed watching. Fast forward to 2016, we have the brand split again. Raw once again calls himself the A show. The ratings continue to slide. Raw continues to suck when you put it right next to SmackDown. This week being a prime example. Tonight was such an enjoyable 2 hours. What the heck is going on with Raw?
Man, I wish I had an answer. It's tough, sitting through 3 hours of Monday Night Raw, because of everything that's going on. And like man, SmackDown has been the better show, in my opinion, by far, since the brand split. Is more wrestling. It's better stories. It's more cohesion. Raw is just all over the place. Man, and I think one of the things Raw suffers from is the fact that it's too long. And also, they just seem to be running the same things over and over and over and over. And it's funny how people hate on John Cena, who I thought was actually a pretty good in his return to SmackDown this week. But you see, people kill John Cena for being Superman Cena, but we saw, Seth Rollins get decimated by Braun Strowman, until Sami Zayn interfered, and then we saw him get, kind of beat up by Jericho, only to return less than an hour later, like nothing had ever happened, to attack Chris Jericho. It's like, Seth Rollins comes out and he's back to, it's like, storylines are just not, storylines don't flow from week to week. We see Seth Rollins feuding with Kevin Owens, but really he's trying to feud with Triple H. But then at the same time, he's, feuding with Jericho while also calling out Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. And it's like, you heard the, Roman Reigns, who I am a Roman Reigns guy, but it's like they continue to put him in situations that don't make him look the best. Like you saw when he came out this week, he grabbed the mic and the fans in Chicago were literally chanting, "Please don't talk. Please don't talk." And as soon as he opened up his mouth, they just boo. It's like, I don't know what Raw Creative has done, but it's really just it's really lacking when it comes to Raw versus SmackDown. And like I said, I thought SmackDown was the better show since the split. It's the more exciting show. Their main events are more exciting. Like, man, that triple threat match on SmackDown this week was awesome. you knew Dolph could work, you knew AJ could work, but you didn't know Baron Corbin could work like he did, and it was a great match. But I mean, it's no cohesiveness on Raw. It's like they have to try to throw everything in all at once and just see what sticks. I kind of liken Raw to being the Samsung of wrestling. People complain about Samsung phones because they say Samsung tries to pack every single feature they possibly can pack into a phone and see what sticks. And that's kind of what WWE seems, what they're doing with Raw. They just try to throw everything at you, everything that they could possibly throw at you, and just see what works.
Is that why Samsung phones blow up?
That was a battery issue, but and shout out to Samsung. I am rocking a Galaxy S7, which I've rocked for the entire year basically. But I got
a Samsung myself.
But it's just weird, man. It's not enjoyable wrestling, And I know we were talking in the chat earlier about the New Day, and I brought up the fact that I feel like for most of the year, New Day carried the entire show. There would be weeks at a time where you would turn in a Monday Night Raw, and the only thing enjoyable to watch was the New Day. So, man, I don't know what to say about Raw. I watch it. It's a struggle to watch, but hey, I'd much rather spend my time. If I had to pick 3 hours of wrestling to watch, I'd rather watch SmackDown and NXT versus Raw.
I agree with you. I much rather watch those two. Hell, I rather watch SmackDown and then talking smack than watching the 3 hours of Raw. We're gonna wrap this up with one last thing. I know you mentioned you're a Roman Reigns guy, but before Roman Reigns, you were another guy's guy. He returned. Closing thoughts on the return of John Cena and battle between him and AJ Styles.
Okay, so we just assume that I guess he did throw the challenge out there, and so I guess they haven't made it official, but I guess it's going to be Cena versus AJ Styles. Now I don't think Cena's just going to come back and then win the belt immediately, but I do think this could propel Cena into the heel turn that, and I use air quotes there, and the heel turn that fans have wanted to see from him for years, simply because what I really enjoyed about his promo was at the end of it. He referred to himself as the face who runs the place, and he said, why can I do it? Because I'm John Cena, recognized. And he just walks off. And I was like, damn, he's John Cena, recognized. So, hey, man, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I don't think, I try to think as who SmackDown has on the roster, and right now, the only person I can see taking the belt from AJ is John Cena, unless they, want to push Corbin over the moon. I don't see them putting Ziggler in that spot, but and I think they're just kind of like, past Dean Ambrose. So I think the only threat to AJ's title reign is John Cena. So,
all right. Well, my final thoughts on this is this. You brought up the heel turn. We're not going to get a heel turn. Get over it. Cena ain't turning heel. It ain't happening. He'll do some heelish things. He might say some heelish things, but Cena ain't turning heel. You have a better chance of seeing Roman Reigns go heel than you'll see Cena go heel. Now, Cena and AJ for the title, that should be a good match. They've given us some good matches this year. You know, their feud is one of the top voted feuds in our Twitter polls. Make sure you're following us on Twitter so you can vote in those polls and nominate your picks to possibly enter those polls. I don't think Cena's going to turn heel, especially where all signs are pointing to Cena going to Mania to face Undertaker. He's just going to be a more focused Cena. I hope that he doesn't go towards WrestleMania versus The Undertaker with the belt. I think this should just be legacy versus legacy. I want AJ to keep holding on to the title. And you say that Cena is really the only threat to AJ's title. I disagree with you there, sir, because I'm going to throw another name in the mix who's been doing great work in the year of 2016, and that is The Miz. Yes, he's currently focused on Dean Ambrose and Renee Young, but I feel that if the path continues, we will see The Miz holding WWE Championship gold again.
You know what, Shane? I would love to see that because, hey, when Miz was the champ, he was, I mean, look, man. Miz, I think there are two guys in WWE right now that embody everything that a classic heel embodies. One is Kevin Owens, and one is The Miz. Like, you're not supposed to cheer the bad guy. You know, like when people were all in an uproar 2 weeks ago about, you know, Kevin Owens, you know, telling the kid never to, don't touch him and not to buy his shirt. You know, people, oh, Kevin Owens hurt the little kid's feelings. Well, you know what? That's what he's supposed to be doing. And you know what? Miz has been the best talker in WWE for years. And he's putting, and when he headlined WrestleMania, remember we were there, when he headlined WrestleMania, I mean, he was great for the company. He's charismatic, he can talk, so he can represent the company, and like, you know, when they're doing their media tours and stuff like that, there's not a perfect guy, you know, not a more perfect guy than The Miz, you know, maybe Cena, but to me, there's not a more perfect guy than The Miz. And I would love to see Miz as World Heavyweight Champion again. I do think that's going to be AJ's next feud after he's done with Cena, because I don't think they're going to take the IC title off of The Miz, you know, especially and give it to Dean Ambrose, because he's way too hot right now, man. So I agree with you right there. Now that I'm thinking about it, specifically, you know, off the strength of their, you know, their Miz TV confrontation a couple weeks ago. But now that I think about it, I agree with you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for those who are tuning in the archives. They're going to have to splice two shows together because of technical difficulties. So listening to the archives, you probably won't even notice that there was really much of an issue, but there was. For those who are listening live, we thank you for listening live. We thank you for all of those who've followed us throughout the years, and this year, especially as we got the radio thing back going. In 2017, we can only hope to continue to grow. We're still looking for writers for the website. And make sure you follow us on Twitter so you can vote in our daily ropey polls. Because ain't no slammies this year, so you might as well get a ropey.
Hey, might as well get the ropies, man.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of HTR, Happy New Year. Peace.
Peace.